What if I tell you that your husband, your wife, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the fiancé or the financier you're looking for, or hoping for, or positioning for, or waiting for is not as far as you think? One of the major things as human beings we love is healthy relationships. We want to partner with people that can help us accelerate our journey, eliminate the consequences of many of our mistakes, and accelerate that which God has placed on the inside of us. In this video, I'll be sharing with you 5 practical ways to build healthy relationships, whether they're romantic or platonic, or you're trying to define what they are. Stay tuned, this is going to be really good. At the beginning of every year, we have amazing goals that we intend to accomplish in our lives. For some of us, it's winning a soul every week. For others, it's giving tens of millions of naira towards a favorite charity or ministry or church. But for every true believer, one of the things that we always want to do every year is to grow deeper in our relationship with God. We want to read more of the Bible, we want to pray more consistently, we want to fast more sincerely, and we want to get to know God more. But somewhere along the line, life happens. There are bills to pay, there are targets to meet, there are relationships to build. And before we know it, we stop reading the Bible as often as we used to. We stop spending time with God, we get distracted and caught up. If you're in that place right now, I'm not condemning you and I don't want you to be discouraged. I've got an amazing resource for you. This is why I'm happy to present to you copies of my brand new book called Refresh. In this amazing book, you're going to learn how to rediscover and how to relish and enjoy the pleasure of God's presence. It's a 21-day devotional that has lots of powerful content. It has premium material. In this, you will learn the basics of prayer, of waiting on God, of intercession, of reading the Bible, of meditating consistently, so that the Word of God is not like something you're reading from a textbook, but it really transforms your life. And one of the things I really love about it, which many other people have read the book love about it, is that you have places for you to write out what you're going to do with what you've learned. There are also Bible passages that will help you reinforce all the core concepts in the pages of this book. So I wanted to place your order right now. It's going to change your life forever. It's time for you to refresh your walk with God and to grow deeper in the things of the Spirit. Refresh. Hi, my name is Damilola Oluwatoyinbo, and over the last 30 years of my life, I've built actively, passively, and inactively relationships that have helped me to grow personally. Some of those relationships have been basically friendships in school, and others have been more strategic in terms of their deliverables in the business world. And some of them are destiny relationships, as they have an impact on people's experience in this age and in the age to come. I'm talking about relationships that have the ability to impact what my life is going to be for 10 years and 20 years and 30 years. And I want to share with you some of the things that I have learned. Now, maybe not all of them will work for you, and maybe not all of them are for you. But out of the 5 points I will share, I believe that at least 2, maybe 3 of them will come in handy right now. So the very first thing you want to keep in mind, number 1, is that you want to be very clear about the eventual outcome of your life. Why is that important? Because every relationship in your life will either add to you or take something away from you. It will either accelerate a desire in you or decrease a desire in you. And if you're not very clear about what you want your life to be, then you will not be very sure about who you give access to. Let me say this. Access is a gift. You must be intentional about who you give it to. You know, there are many gifts in the world, and it's not everybody you go around giving gifts to. There's some gifts that you give to your friends. There's some other gifts you give to your parents. There's some other gifts you can give to your pastor. There are other gifts you can give to your younger brother. And many times, no matter how good your intentions are, if you give a gift that is meant for a baby to your father, it will come across as insult. Therefore, there's some people that if you give access to, you're going to suffer for it because you're dishonoring yourself. Why? Because you're not clear about what you want your life to be like. Some people have entered into relationships that became their prison because they were caught up with the charisma of the person instead of the character of the person. So that's number 1. Number 2 is you want to be very clear that you are looking below or beyond the surface. We live in a generation where there's so many surface people. There are so many people who are one thing online on the social media platforms, but offline they are a far cry from the picture they are painting. I know people who have been swindled because the person that promised them high returns had a sweet mouth, sweet tongue, promised them heaven and earth, but delivered hell. You know, there's some people that promise heaven and earth, but all they have to deliver is hell. Deliver boy, hell boy. You want to be careful of that. That who is this person beyond the surface? I get it. Sometimes you're instantly attracted to certain persons because of their personality, their charisma, their communication skills, the way they come across, the way they're poised, their use of language, etiquette, maybe even a sense of decency, their wit, their humor. All those things can be jarring, right? But you want to be careful before you commit to anything long term. Who is this person? Where are they from? In other words, ask questions. In other words, ask questions before you commit on the long term. Number 3 is ask yourself the question, what value do I have for this relationship? Because many times when people teach about relationships and connections and networking, it's always about what can I get from that person. You know, there's this particular rant that was making the rounds on Instagram, I think about a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago, where they were like, if it's not adding money to my bank account, and if it's not giving me a brand new car, and if it's not giving me peace and joy, then I don't want anything to do with it. And I feel like that's so selfish. Now, I get the general idea. The general idea is that don't waste your life and your time in relationships that don't add practical value to your life. However, let me say this. One way to become a prisoner in a relationship is for you to go in there as a user, as a getter, as one who's waiting on what somebody else can do for them. One way to go in there as a healthy person is ask, what do I have? What do I carry? Who can I help? What value do I bring to the table? You know that whole story of, what do you bring to the table? I am the table. Okay, I get it. Even if you have 4 figures, that makes you a 4-figure table. Even if you're on your period, that makes you a periodic table. Even if you have multiple gifts, that could make you multiplication table. Even if you are on, that can make you unstable. I'm cracking myself like I'm not even crackers. right, but get the point. The point is, you want to be a person of value. You don't want to be a victim or a user or a beggar, because one of the ways in which people manipulate other people is to see the vulnerability in their lives, to see the needs in their lives, and then position themselves as those who can solve those needs, only to eventually use them. Because when you go in as somebody who has needs, as a needy, clingy person, then it's easy for them to use what you need to manipulate and control you. So if you've been in an abusive relationship or a narcissistic relationship before, where somebody eventually used you or dumped you, sometimes, not all the time, there are exceptions, but sometimes it's because that person saw a need in your life. You were so obsessed and absorbed with a gift or talent, a skill or ability, their money, their fame, their platform, and you got caught up in that world. So go there as a person of value. Number 4, this is what I want to do. You must learn boundaries, respect, and honor. Boundaries, respect, and honor. Now, whatever you dishonor, you get disconnected from. Whatever you dishonor will distance itself from you. Eventually, will distance itself from you. Now, look at somebody, if you're just standing in the place and somebody comes and say, hey, you, slaps your face, and then tugs at your beard or something. Now, except the person's your girlfriend or your wife, you're going to be like, what's going on here? Is there, what's really going on? Because there's something about the human soul that does not do well with dishonor. And when you're not respecting boundaries, not respecting people, not valuing what they bring into your world, before you know it, they start stepping away. Now, I don't know about you, but there's some phone calls that when I see, I'm like, should I pick this phone call or not? And I'm not talking about when I'm legitimately busy or my phone is off. Many times my phone is on silent and stuff. But sometimes, even when I'm available, I see some phone calls and I'm wondering, does this person understand honor, respect, boundaries? Now, don't judge me. You do it as well, don't you? You do it as well. There's some people that just come and every time they're coming to talk about other people, they're coming to gossip, they're coming to assault, they're coming to harass, or sometimes they're even coming to talk to you from a place of entitlement, like you didn't do this for me, you didn't do that for me, and you call yourself a man of God. You too, you call yourself a human being made by God. Right, so understand respect and honor. and boundaries. Number 5. This is very important. Love, generosity, and presence. Love, generosity, and presence. If you're going to build wholesome and healthy relationship, number 1, are you in a place where those relationships are possible? So for example, you say you want to be a pilot, and every time you want to be a pilot, guess where you're going? Okada Riders Association of Nigeria, Okran. But one would be like, Peter, how do you get the acronym so quickly? Okran. You know Okran? O-K-R-A-N, right? Ghanaian, my Ghanaian brothers, how you doing, Charlie? Right? So what I'm trying to say is, now, can you meet a pilot at a Bike Riders Association meeting? Possibly. But possibly the probability is like 0.00001%. So where do you find pilots? Google that. Where do you find seamen? Where do you find billionaires? Where do you find single people? Where do you find all those things, right? If you go for a couple's retreat and you form that you are married and you're wearing a ring, people will not know that you're waiting to be found by somebody who wants to get married. So presence, that's what I mean by presence. When you're present in those places, also be present, because there are people who go for meetings, events, seminars, but guess what? Even when they're physically there, their minds are not there. Somebody's trying to say, hi, how you doing, lovely lady? You look so hot. And then you tell to the person, you better get to the point. You said to the person, you better get to the point. What's the point? What's your point? Calm down. Be present. Accept the compliment. Take it in, inhale it, enjoy the moment, presence, right? And then love. Instead of you waiting to be loved, can you find somebody and love on somebody? Instead of you waiting for somebody to notice you, can you notice somebody? Instead of you waiting for a compliment, can you be generous with compliments? Let me tell you something. If you're able to do one of these 3 things within a minute of meeting anybody, you're going to build stronger relationships. Guess what they are? All right, after this video. I may not know much about you, but I know one thing about you. You are struggling with something, you have struggled with something, or you will struggle with something. It could be drugs, alcohol, pornography, gambling, low self-esteem, insecurity, spiritual backwardness, spiritual stagnation, inferiority, envy, lust, jealousy, or some other vice. As human beings, as we navigate through life, different oppositions and hurdles stand in our way, and many times we feel too ashamed or too afraid to seek help, or sometimes we're too tired because we don't believe that there is a way out. Good news is there is always a way out for somebody who receives light. My name is Damilola Oluwatoyinbo, the Pastor of Kings. Having journeyed through life for 4 decades plus now, I've seen a multiplicity of struggles, not only in my life, but in the lives of those that I've mentored, coached, trained, and pastored. And now I'm super excited to bring the message of freedom to the nations of the world. So whether you're in Uganda, Kenya, South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, Canada, United States of America, United Kingdom, I will be coming to you or somewhere around you over the next couple of months as I bring a message around freedom, that you can be free by the wisdom, the grace, and the power of God. Join me on the Freedom Tour. Tell somebody about this and look forward to connecting with you live at one of my events. It's time for you to be free. All right, so back to it. I said if you can do one of those 3 things within the first minutes of meeting somebody, you're going to build stronger relationships. You want to know what they are? Even people in the studio want to know what they are. Number 1, if you can smile from your heart, if you can smile genuinely within the first minute. Now, I'm not talking about maybe the person tells you that, oh, they lost their job, and then you now smile and start laughing. They might bind you or slap you or rebuke you, right? But maybe when you're introducing yourself, or when they tell you their name, and try to remember their names right. So the first thing is smile genuinely from your heart. And how do you know you're smiling genuinely? Your eyes are also carrying that picture. So that's the first thing. The second thing you want to do is if you can make them smile or you can make them laugh. If you can make somebody smile or you can make somebody laugh within the first minutes, they'll remember you for a very long time, right? And number 3 is if you can add value. So an act of generosity, a compliment, a gift, a note, paying attention to something. If I can give you a 4th one, that would be using their name. I believe it was Andrew Carnegie that said, the sweetest sound to everybody's ears is the sound of his or her name. So get into that, and when you do that, you will be better positioned to build healthy relationships. Boom. Are you ready for bonus? We like to do bonus point is be a helper and a listener. Do you know that recently I stumbled on a piece of information that there are people who are called empathetic listeners who are being paid just to listen to phone calls, right? In the UK, somebody started a business about a hugging business, just hugging people, all right? And they pay him, right? Of course, not the sexual kind of hugging, right? Now they just arrest you and send you to jail. But they pay the person. But if you can be a listener, many people are burdened, many people feel isolated, many people feel lonely, many people feel left alone. But if you can listen, if you can listen to you from your heart and give them feedback, you'll be able to build wholesome relationships. Now remember, he that walks with the wise, the Bible says, will be wise. The companion of fools shall be destroyed. It also says, do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good manners, good morals. Right. So I trust that you've received one of these things, or one of the 6 points I've shared will help you remarkably in your life. Let me know which of the points stands out the most for you. Don't forget to like, share this video, subscribe to this channel, tell people about all the amazing stuff. I release new videos every week, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about the change in your life and your relationships based on what I've shared. Until the next video, I'm Damilola Oluwatoyinbo, King Raiser, Pastor of Kings. Keep on thriving in the things of God.